Hello and welcome to the Hume podcast from and Lowell. For those of you who don't know us, Hume is a recruitment training business co-founded by myself, Ed Khan, and Laura Hopes.
And each week we're going to be giving you 10-minute snippets into our world of recruitment, tips and tricks to help you on your journey as an agency recruiter, and hopefully some laughs along the way too. We hope you guys enjoy.
We're live. Well, not live.
Live from our living rooms. as like setting the scene, like making it all look great is me, still in like my pajamas.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hi, Gengi.
You're getting so big.
Oh.
All right, what are we going through this week?
This week we are going to talk about coaching because I think we did an episode recently on performance management. And I think we were talking about obviously performance management being a positive experience, but it still has a process, you know, and the purpose of coaching from a leadership perspective. And also, I guess you could, you know, if you're a recruitment consultant, you could take this as like coaching your candidates or coaching your clients. Like the purpose of coaching is to lead someone to their own outcome, right? So whilst performance management has to have a process to it, and it has to be formalized to an extent, the purpose of informal coaching is to really help someone, assist someone in coming up with their own outcomes.
Yeah. I feel like a quote comes to mind every time someone talks about coaching for me, and it is, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. Teach a man how to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime.
Yes.
And I think it's because it's so easy, and I certainly did this when leading teams. It's so easy as a leader to go, I know the answer, I'll just give it to someone. And the minute you give someone the answer, if they don't put two and two together and they've just got the answer, it won't sink in as well as it would if you continuously press, continuously ask questions, get them to the answer. That will sink in, because if someone works it out for themselves, that's what sinks in. It's not you just giving them the answer. And it's I was going to say it's short-term gain, isn't it? Because I think when the leader goes, oh, I'll just give them the answer, it's a quick short-term gain of, I don't have to spend time with this person leading them to the answer. But long-term, when you're thinking about a year of questions, and if you're getting the same questions from your team, I wouldn't be thinking about it as, oh, I'll just give them the answer, it will save me 10 minutes. You need to be thinking long-term about how much time will this save me in a year, in 5 years, if people stop asking me this question because they now know the answer?
Totally. And we're so time poor. So it's so easy just to go to someone, okay, I would do this, 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 and this. And then it's fixed. Like you said, it's band-aided. But what we're not doing is giving people the capacity to, like, I hate using this term, but like it makes sense, to self-soothe. It's like actually providing people with the opportunity to come up with their own ideas, to problem solve, and to feel safe to do that. And the more that we just give people answers straight away, we're also removing their autonomy, because what we're reinforcing is that they then need to come to us with everything. And I think for me, that coaching piece, it's like a skills gap can be fixed by training, right? It's like, you can't do this currently, I can train you to do it and it's done. But like a motivation gap, like for whatever reason, if someone's got all the skills, they know how to do something, but they're not doing it. And I think a classic case to provide an example in business development is, and in recruitment, is business development, right? You might have all the skills to do it, but there might be a motivation gap there that's stopping someone. You can't fix that by telling them what to do. You can say, do more calls, pick up the phone to this client. But if someone's like really battling with maybe their confidence or the fear of rejection or something like that, like that's a coaching opportunity. And if you're just trying to kind of keep fixing the perceived skills gap, well, actually what you need to be doing is delving deeper in understanding where's the motivational issue or challenge for that person to get from where they are now to where they need to be. And I think that's where coaching comes in for me. It's like you've got all the skills to do it, but there's just something not clicking. And our job when we coach is then to lead people to that light bulb moment of like, okay, that's what the issue is. Okay, I now can problem solve how to work through that.
Yeah. That's so true. It is the difference, isn't it? It's one, first of all, assessing which one it is, skills or motivational, because
Yeah.
how you then handle that is different.
Yeah.
What would you say, love, if it is a motivational thing, what are some of the things, or how would you structure that conversation from a coaching perspective? So someone's asked you something, you've assessed and you've gone, this is definitely not a skills gap, it's a motivational gap. Is there a process that you take personally to then sort of coach someone?
So what I think something I've always tried to, or I always try to do in the coaching sessions that I have, like the individual coaching sessions I have with
Mm,
people, is like operate on an 80-20 rule. And 80% of the time they should be talking, and
mm,
20% of the time I should. And my job purely is to ask questions and probe for that person to then uncover what it is that they need to uncover,
mm,
the light bulb moment, like the realization of like, oh, okay, cool, this is what the issue is. And I think when you're in a coaching conversation, it's not about telling, it's just about exploring. And your job in that is just to ask questions. And there's
mm,
something that we talk in our leadership course about, is the ADKA model of change. And I won't go
mm,
through it now, but if you're interested to look at it, it's a model that you can use to implement any change. And I think that's essentially what a coaching conversation is. So something we talk with our leaders about is using the ADKAR model, and that's ADKAR. And it's a really useful tool to
mm,
kind of structure how people move through change, and to use then that as a, I guess, a structure almost for your
mm,
coaching conversations. But it's so easy, even when you're coaching someone like you don't, that, doesn't work for you. It's so easy to want to tell them like,
mm.
this is how I fixed it. But like, it's so
Yeah.
different for everyone else. It's so subjective. And so I think just operating on that 80-20 rule, like your job is to question, to probe for 20%
Mm,
of the time. But that person has to come to the realization and the action plan themselves. And
yeah.
it's simple questions like, okay, great. Now you've realized, this is what's the sticking point is. What do you think you can do about that? What is a
Mm,
step that you could put in tomorrow? What is a goal that you could have for 3 months' time?
yeah.
How do you think you're going to work with this going forwards? Like your job is just to be there, to
Yeah.
be a soundboard, really.
Yeah, 100%. What are the challenges that you think might arise from this? There's so many questions that you can just literally question someone. And I think one of the struggles for most leaders that I've seen is they believe they need to have all the answers. And I'm like, that's not your job to have all the answers. Your job is to get someone to where they need to get to. And it's not by you telling them.
Yeah.
And I think we just do that so quickly in recruitment. Do more BD. Oh, this person's struggling with BD. Tell them they need to do more calls. And well, of course, that's not going to work.
Mm.
From a motivational perspective, that's not going to motivate someone to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So doing that coaching style is so critical to actually get someone to where they want to get to.
Yeah. And I think within that, we have to just remove all our own emotion, because
Mm,
like what has worked for you as well like might not necessarily work for me, or like, and it's we can still put in suggestions of like, have you
mm,
thought about trying this with something like this? How does that sit with you? But it can't be like, okay, when I felt like that, this is what I did, because we're all
mm,
so different. And I think we get
yeah,
excited and it's like want to help and want to fix, and I think that's our role as recruiters. But I think there's so much more weight to actually letting people come to decisions themselves, and
mm,
actually letting someone have that ownership over, okay, this is what I'm going to go, and it might even just be to go and
mm,
explore it. But I think putting our own emotions and our own feelings on it, especially if you're having to have like a constructive coaching conversation, it's like anytime
mm,
you come into that being like, I feel, I think, like it's so subjective to your opinion.
mm,
And I think coming into those kind of conversations with facts,
yeah,
yes, amazing, and examples so that there's something tangible for people to hold on to. But the purpose of coaching is not telling off.
yeah,
It's like, I have seen this happen. Like, can you talk me through that? How
mm,
can we go about, supporting you with
yeah,
that? Where do you think that comes from? And I think the use of open questions, the use
yeah,
of probing questions, and the removal of, I think, I feel, you should.
yeah,
Like, you might walk away from like an hour with someone and not feel like a huge amount has been achieved
mm,
because you didn't fix the problem. but giving someone enough food for thought to go away with for an initial conversation is gold for them, because it's the beginning of them figuring it out for themselves.
100%. That's all I was going to add, is don't expect them always to get to the answer that you need to get them to in that first initial conversation. And it can be hard because, as you said, you want to fix things, and it's like, okay, I need to fix this problem. But a good coaching conversation can end with, actually, why don't you go away and think on it more, and we'll circle back in a day. Like, it doesn't need to be fixed right then and there. And sort of, if you're moving from more of a directive leadership style, which is your people come to you for a quick question and you give them the answer, if that's typically what you've been operating on, this won't change overnight, because your people will be expecting a quick answer from you if that's what they've always had. So like with any bit of change, this is going to take time. It's going to be a bit of a change up for your team and what their expectations are of you. So it kind of just needs to be done over a period of time, and don't expect it to change overnight, because if that's what your people are used to right now, that's what they'll be expecting.
Totally. Fix it for me. What we want, right? Like, doing all the personal work for yourself is so boring. You want someone else to give you the answers, but like, those don't stick.
Also, doesn't every single leader in recruitment that I've ever met that's looking for a new team member, one of the things that they always are looking for is someone who can self-manage. And like, this is where the self-management starts. It's by you asking the questions and not giving them the answer, because if you want them to self-manage, which is what we all want, we want a team of 10 recruiters all self-managing and questioning what they're doing and how they can fix it, and actually only really coming to you when they've had that exploration, and then it's a conversation where they're sort of bouncing ideas off of you, telling you what they've done, telling you what has worked, and then your 20% then is really, really worthwhile, because they've done the groundwork already, and that's ideally what we're wanting to get to.
Love it. That's a good point.
Coach.
You know what you should do, one of these poddy apps, is you should finish the session with playing your guitar. Like real Ricky Gervais style.
Recruitment is great. Recruitment is great.
Okay, now, do you even know how to play that?
No, it was a guess. I did a few lessons and didn't do very well, and got frustrated.
ADHD thing ever. I'm going to have a new hobby. I'm going to learn the guitar. Picked it up once.
Literally tried it twice, and I'm like, this is frustrating. I can't play this. Why do I not already know how to play this in 2 sessions?
I did the same when I was like 20, living in London, living in Camden. Like, really thought I was like a real indie girl, but a guitar. I was going to learn to play the guitar, as if. So,
oh my god! Right. Little Lauren Camden with a guitar.
Magic. Bloody Amy Winehouse wannabe. Right.
All right, guys. We will see you hopefully next week on our live poddy episode. A full hour of this. I will be playing the guitar throughout.
Oh my god, I'm so excited. I can't wait to bring the countdown tune back. And
oh my god, yes, and we'll be live together.
It'll be fun.
Everyone, there's a link in the bio to sign up for the live poddy episode, so please join us, and we will see you next week.
Amazing. Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Hello, it's us again. You thought the podcast episode was over, but it's actually not. Just a quick one. We are actually going live. We're doing our first ever podcast live episode where we are going to go through 10 different subjects and our top tips on each of them. Things that are super relevant for recruiters in real time, things that we've seen in the market over the last year, and what we are likely going to see as recruiters in the next year, and our top tips on that. It's going to be super engaging, very quick fire. It's not going to be boring. You'll get a lot of lulls. So stay tuned. You will hear heaps about it on our socials and emails, but we are really looking forward to it.
Yeah, we cannot wait. Our top tips for 2024 coming at you live. You'll experience all the bloopers. We're looking forward to basically having you in our living room for our poddy app. Yay!
You'll see a link to sign up in the comments section of the podcast, but if you don't, please reach out to us through any channel. See you guys soon.
Bye.